With the recent hiring of new offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, there are definitely some players on offense now on the Pittsburgh Steelers roster that don't necessarily fit his new scheme. So today on Steelers Talk, we're going to be breaking down the updated Steelers trade targets for the 2024 offseason, and I'll let you know some players that could be on the chopping block after the hiring of Arthur Smith. But before we get into today's video, get us started down there in the comments section and let me know, which Pittsburgh Steelers player do you want the team to trade this offseason? Let me know down there in the comments section. Without further ado, let's get to our first name here, and we're going to start with a big one, and that is wide receiver Diontae Johnson. Now, I think that the Steelers actually like Diontae quite a bit, and I actually won't rule out that he's on the team next year. However, he is a smaller receiver, 5'10", 183 pounds, and Arthur Smith, he likes bigger receivers that are good blockers to contribute in the run game. He likes all 11 players on the field to be able to block, and Diontae Johnson, that's just not really a strength of his. With as much money as he's slated to make in 2024, I just don't think he's going to be used in a limited capacity. So I think that the Steelers might decide to let him go because he's just got 1 year left on his contract. He's not necessarily a fit with this offense anymore, so it might be the perfect time to let Diontae Johnson go. Now, in terms of trade value, I think you could probably get a second-round draft pick for Diontae Johnson. He's an excellent route runner. There are a ton of teams in the National Football League that would love to add a guy like Diontae Johnson to their wide receiver room. But honestly, I would probably rather package him to go get a really nice wide receiver via trade. And how great would this be, people? There's rumors starting to circulate that A.J. Brown might decide to ask for a trade away from the Philadelphia Eagles. And if that's the case, I can guarantee you the first call that GM Howie Roseman is going to get is from Omar Khan, because A.J. Brown, of course, had his best years of his career there in Tennessee in Arthur Smith's offense. This was a perfect role for him. Of course, I think Arthur would love to have him back on his offense. So you get A.J. Brown here, you give up Diontae Johnson, and you give up your second-round draft pick this year, number 51. It's definitely possible that the Eagles ask for Diontae and a first-rounder. But let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. If it's this deal right here, Diontae Johnson and a second-round pick for A.J. Brown, are you pulling the trigger? Type A if you're going to accept this trade, or type D if you're going to decline. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show, so YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time to let me know whether you're accepting or declining this trade offer. Second trade candidate here is Naji Harris, the running back. Now, this is another one that, maybe Arthur Smith has a vision for, and he's not going to get traded, but over the early years of his career, Naji Harris has not been a good outside zone runner whatsoever. I don't think he plays with very good vision, and you need to have good vision. You have to be able to see those cutback lanes and know which lane to run through. This is what made Derrick Henry so good in this offense, and although Naji Harris has a similar build and a similar size to Derrick Henry, I'm just not sure if he has the vision to really take advantage of all the things that Derrick Henry was able to take advantage within this offense. And if that's the case, I definitely think that there's a chance that he ends up getting traded. Now, on the other hand, I do think that Smith can help Naji Harris take off, potentially, just like he did with Derrick Henry. Because you look at Derrick Henry in his early years there with Tennessee, he wasn't a superstar running back until Arthur Smith took over as the offensive coordinator in 2019. So you take a look at the comparison there between 2018 and 2019, and that's really the jumping off point for Derrick Henry's career for sure. Now, Henry had a pretty darn good year in 2018, but he never really became King Henry until Arthur Smith came along in 2019 and completely changed his career there with over 1,500 yards rushing. And then the following year in 2020, he had his best year of his career, over 2,000 yards for the season. He was the offensive player of the year this season. 5.4 yards per carry and 17 touchdowns for over 120 yards per game. So, of course, Derrick Henry definitely had a career-changing dynamic in Arthur Smith's offense. And I think the Steelers could potentially want to see that kind of change in Naji Harris's game, and who knows, it could happen. But also the other option here is that the Steelers could trade away Naji Harris and then sign Derrick Henry to come here and play for the Pittsburgh Steelers as the number one running back in this offense once again with Arthur Smith calling plays. So you take a look at Derrick Henry right now. He's going to be 30 years old next year, all right? And that's really the kiss of death for running backs around the National Football League. But Derrick Henry is kind of a freak of nature. We all know that. He's been a freak of nature his entire life and throughout his entire career. And just last year, guys, this guy can still run. This guy was the third highest graded running back in the National Football League last year at age 29. He's still got the goods, and Pro Football Focus says that you can get him in free agency for a 2-year contract, $10 million per season. And if you don't have the confidence in Naji Harris to run this outside zone run scheme, I think that Derrick Henry could be a better option because he's got the bigger frame. He's 6'3", 247, as opposed to Naji Harris's 6'1", 232-pound frame. He's got better vision. He's got more experience in this type of run scheme. And then also, he's still really good. We covered that, man. This guy is still a really, really good running back. And if you put the right pieces on the offensive line, right, if you get the right center this offseason, if you get the right offensive tackle to put on the other side of Broderick Jones, this guy could absolutely still be one of the top running backs in the National Football League. So let me know down there in the comments section. Who do you want to see as the number one running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2024? Type NH for Naji Harris or type DH if you want to see King Henry in the black and gold next season. Number 3 on my list, tight end Pat Freiermuth. Now, I think out of the 3 that we've covered so far, this one is the least likely because I really do like Pat Freiermuth. However, he's not a great blocker, and Arthur Smith really likes his tight ends to be versatile. Good blocking, good receiving. And, you know, Pat Freiermuth is one of the best receiving tight ends in football, which makes me think he's probably going to stay here in Pittsburgh. But you can't deny that he's not a very good run blocker. He was just 44th out of 76 NFL tight ends in run block grade per Pro Football Focus in 2023. And, you know, is that bad enough to straight up trade him? I don't think so. I do think he's going to be back in 2024, but he's going to be asked to change a little bit of his game. He's going to be asked to block a lot more than what he's used to, and he's going to have to thrive in that environment. So I think that the pressure is definitely on for Pat Freiermuth, and if he's not a fit in this offense, I could absolutely see him being a potential trade candidate, especially getting closer to the trade deadline in 2024. Now, coming up here, the only defensive player that I have on my trade candidates list today. It might surprise a couple of people out there. But before I get into that name, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Fanatics. And they're currently selling this awesome throwback Steelers helmet t-shirt for sale on their website right now. The offseason is the perfect time to take advantage of these deals because they have the best deals during the offseason. So you can take advantage of that right now by going to chatsports.com/throwback to get this awesome Steelers t-shirt in your collection today. Again, that's chatsports.com/throwback to let Fanatics know that we sent you. Now the only defensive player I have on my list today is Patrick Peterson, and it's going to be interesting to see what the Pittsburgh Steelers do with Pat Pete here in 2024. Because in my eyes, I think the choice is pretty simple. It's either you move him to safety and you play him next year in that position, or you try to trade him, and if you can't trade him and you really don't want him as a safety, then you just straight up cut him because you can save a little bit of money by cutting him or by trading him. But personally, guys, I'm moving him to safety. So even though it's possible that they might decide to trade him to try to create a little bit more cap space, I thought he played really, really well in relief of Minkah Fitzpatrick towards the end of the season. He was one of the main reasons why the Steelers season was able to stay afloat, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And I definitely think Minkah Fitzpatrick, Patrick Peterson, Trenton Thompson, and hey, bring back Eric Rowe. Those 4 guys would make a really nice safety rotation. However, if you want to trade Patrick Peterson, he's probably going to be worth about a 6th-round pick. He's getting older. He's getting slower. Who knows how long he's going to be in this league. So I think at best, if you trade him, you're going to get a late day 3 pick. So what would you do down there in the comments section? Would you trade Patrick Peterson for a 6th-round pick, or are you going to keep him around? Type yes or type no. For me personally, I'm keeping him around, and I'm putting him at safety. So now the two guys that I would love to trade, but I'm not sure if the Steelers are going to be able to trade. Mitchell Trubisky, the quarterback, he's under contract for another season here. If you can get even a 7th-round pick for that guy, for that pile of garbage, freaking take it, all right? Take the lottery ticket in the 7th round. Same thing with Chukwuma Okorafor. He's a former starter in this league. There's some teams that might be looking for somebody with experience. You could maybe get a 6th or a 7th round pick for him. And if you can do that, if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, I am 100% taking that. I am taking the extra draft capital if I can with these two guys. So now that'll be it for today's show, guys. Thank you so much for all of your support. If you're a real one and you made it to the end of today's show, make sure you let me know down there in the comments section by typing real one in all caps down there in the comments section. If you watch our videos, make it to the end, and I really do appreciate all of your support. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button for more Steelers news and rumors coverage throughout the offseason. Coop and I, we're going to be going live later today at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Steelers Talk Live. So make sure you don't miss it. Click that subscribe button, and we'll see you guys later.